let's talk more about balancing. We're going to go over today all of the cards for the bad guys team. I'm coming into this with a very fresh mind of what I know I want to accomplish with it. A lot of play testing, a lot of doing stuff kind of outside of the videos and trying to figure out where everything should be going. And I have a much better idea of how I want to communicate that in the cards very, very, very well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over all the cards today, or we're going to attempt to go over at least half of the cards. How about that? Each one kind of takes some time and effort, and I'm sure we'll get stuck on some, and that's totally normal. So, not that it matters, but last time we went over the weapons as well as the hero kits. Those are going to change for sure in this, because I know a little bit better of how I want all this to work. So let's just start. Okay, so let's start with, who do you want to start with? This is laid out very nice for us. I want to start with, I think who needs the least changes is Frosk. So these are the experience cards here, the orange ones, and Ayla, and potentially even Besh. Don't need a lot to do to like get them to where they should be. Let's go over Besh. We kind of already went over a lot of these cards in the weapons video, but let's go through them again and make sure that everything kind of works out the way we want it to. Besh is a late game hero. We also want him to maintain these enhancements because he's a calm character, which makes your opponent's life miserable. So we need to make sure that the cards, the cost for the curses, does not outweigh heavily the way to get rid of the curses. So Soul Tether says play this under your opponent's control. That's going to be all of the curses. They're all going to have that same text, and so now we assume that the opponent has control of this card, and all of the effects that mention what they're doing is what they're doing. So after you flip a card in your tenacity, the owner of this card draws one card. This is not an exhaust effect. This just happens. So when you parry, for each time you parry, this is a flip that you're doing. Yes, really good. It also prevents the opponent from doing something crazy about flipping a bunch of cards in there and flipping your cards or something like that. Action, exhaust, discard 2 face-up cards from your tenacity. It's kind of hard to determine the cost of this, but face-up cards are generally going to be quite expensive. This can obviously be played around with low-cost cards, but it still gets rid of something. I think that it's okay. I think 2 face-up cards is quite steep. In general, it's like a very good middle ground to being like almost too high, but definitely not low. 2 face-up cards I think is probably fine. I think this will need a little more testing to make sure that's the right number, but that's pretty good. I think for a 3 cost, yeah, 3 cost is a little much, right? But you're hoping to draw these cards back when your opponent does stuff. Counterspell. Play this under your opponent's control. When you play a card from your hand, cancel that card's effects and discard it. Then discard this card. So one of the things I'm noticing now is that oftentimes I really want there to be counterplay within enhancements, and the way to do that is by exhausting them. So the way to deal with a curse is by paying its action to exhaust it. Exhaust it, then pay its action, get rid of it. That's the counterplay is to be able to do that. The counterplay to that is by having Besh have his horn out, his cursed horn, which is like his wand. And that'll allow your curses come into play exhausted, meaning the next turn that they come out, your opponent can't actually deal with them. Because they're required to exhaust to get rid of them, Besh says, nope, they're going to stay exhausted, and you're going to have to deal with them this turn and on my next turn. So that's the counterplay. However, Counterspell kind of goes against that. Because Counterspell needs to exhaust to perform its abilities, that's a problem. But it's the only way to get rid of it. So if you play Besh and you play the horn, you put the counterspell out and it kind of just sits there. Like it doesn't do anything because it can't exhaust because it's already exhausted. So this is a little bit of it goes against the feeling of how you should feel playing the enhancements. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to just remove this. And now the opponent must, when they get this curse, they just have to power through it. And I think that's okay with all the curses. Counterspell is something that should be played before you're going to make an attack if you want to prevent defense cards, or at the end of your turn when you want to prevent the opponent's next play, because they might be playing defense cards under the assumption they can play a big card or something next turn, and then this really, really messes them up. I think a 2 cost is more than fine to throw your opponent's turn off in some way. So yeah, I think that the only real change here is that it needs to be no longer exhausted. So it still works with Besh's whole theme. Feeble is a 1-cost enhancement, a 1-cost curse. Play this under your opponent's control. Your active hero gets -1 armor, and then exhaust it and exhaust your active hero. Discard this card. We went over this previously, but I think this is fine for a 1-cost. It's not supposed to be debilitating. It shouldn't be that hard to get rid of. It should just be annoying and kind of a problem if you let it be. And I think Feeble does that perfectly. Fatigued. So it's a curse played into your opponent's control. The art is bizarre. When you play a card, discard the top 2 cards of your deck. Okay, annoying, bad, really good in most cases. Gets you closer to decking out, to recycling your deck, to taking a stamina card. Exhausted. Place the top two cards from your hand into your tenacity face down. Oh, that's not right. Place 2 cards from your hand into your tenacity face down. So you're like essentially paying 2, but you're putting it into your tenacity. This really fills up tenacity pretty quickly, actually, which means you'll get to ultimate a little bit quicker. This is a little bizarre because the effect is you have to pay 2, and realistically what that means is that because somebody paid 1 card and this card from their hand to play Fatigued, you're kind of just playing the same amount of cards in a weird way. It's a little weird. I think it's okay. Plays 2 cards. I think it's okay. It gums it up and it makes it so you potentially can't play something. It's fine. We're gonna keep it as is. Because I don't think there's a real issue with it yet that I see. Sluggish. Okay, cards you play cost 1 additional resource of any class. Spend 3 resources of the same class. Discard this card. This card is bananas. This card is insane. It's gonna go to a 4 cost. Spending 3 resources of the same class is hard in general. It's not something that can just easily be done. If you get 2 of these out, it's absurd. Yeah, this is this is a really good one. It definitely needs to be a 4 cost, and it gives you kind of a range now of what you want to do. So it's a little weird, right? Because cards you play cost 1 additional resource. This for you is insane for against defensive cards. It basically makes it so your opponent can't really do much. However, paying 4, I mean, this card is nuts. This card is probably too good, even at 4. But I think that's okay. 4 should be a threshold where you're like, whoa, this is absurd. And that's okay. So I'm going to keep this for now with the thought that we're going to have to deal with this later. And I realize now that I've been so incredibly loud, and I'm going to chill. I'm going to relax a little bit. Because I'm too excited. I had my second cup of half calf today, and I'm just like freaking out. This card is insane, and I'm going to keep it that way. Great. That's Besh. I think Besh is fine as is. He's got some kind of, he's a little bizarre because he doesn't have the natural, 1 defense, 1 or 2 attacks, an enhancement and a skill or something like that. So it's a little weird. It's a little bizarre, but I think it's okay. He's kind of supposed to be rounded out from other characters. As all of these characters are supposed to be, specifically in the bad guys team. So it's okay that he's kind of a one note because he introduces a lot of really cool enhancements into the game for deck building, as well as presents a really cool control mechanic that all of them are going to kind of try to do. Okay, let's take a look at Ayla's cards. Oh, I feel ill prepared for Ayla. Okay, 1 cost attack, Bloodrot Bark. Deal 3 damage to an enemy, so that's just the bare minimum. Discard 1 card from your tenacity. This attack deals additional damage equal to the cost of the top card of your discard pile. So one thing we have to determine with the bad guys is, do we want them to be able to discard face down cards from their tenacity? Their whole thing is that they want their tenacity to be low, so the assumption is that when you discard a card from your tenacity, it should be face up. If we take a look at Frosk, I know it's not Ayla, but let's take a look at Ayla. How about that? Cards in your tenacity get -1 cost. Good, great. For this team, that's absurd. It's terribly bad for you in general, but it's good for this team. If your tenacity total is 2 or less, characters you control get +1 attack. 2 or less is insanely low. I cannot describe how low this is. While playing, it's so easy to accidentally go over this too, and you need a really good way to control that. Characters you control get +1 attack. Remember, this is only active when she's out, not when she's in the active area. So her ability says discard up to 3 face-up cards from your tenacity and do some cool things. Frosk says discard face-up cards. I'm sure there's other ones that say the same thing. Yeah, May's Tattoo says discard 1 face-up card from your Tenacity. So we really want this to stay. This is the theme, and I don't want to break that theme. Does not make sense for you to discard a card from your Tenacity that is not also face-up in this context. So we want to keep with the theme, and we say discard 1 face-up card from your Tenacity. This attack deals additional damage equal to the cost of the top card of your discard pile. This is nuts. Ha! This is nuts. For 1 cost, this is probably too cheap. But because you're discarding a face-up card specifically, it's okay. If you discard a 1 cost, you're dealing 4 damage for 1, which is above par. You should one cost for 3 damage is fine. Anything more and you're getting a ton of value. So this additional cost of discarding cards is Ayla's way of dealing with this. This also, yeah, that's it. This card's great. And this is a melee attack, question mark? I'll just update some traits while we're here, I guess, too. Great Oak Heart. So this is her premier attack. This costs 3, so she has to play she has to use her entire hand for this. It's angry. It's a very, very expensive. And it says deal 6 damage to an enemy. Place the top card of your deck into your Tenacity. Discard this card. Okay, what's the point of this? The point is that you are playing a card to your Tenacity, but what's the point of it doing it from the top of your deck? It's a little bizarre. This card doesn't make a lot of sense in the grand scheme of things. You don't know what the top of your deck is. You don't expect to know what the top of your deck is. All you know is that having a 3 cost in your Tenacity is not good. But it should be. Remember, because Ayla gives all cards -1 cost, this is not a problem for her. If she has some 1s and 0s and the 3s, so if we see she'll have, a 1 here, a 0 here. This Acornic Wrath technically has 1, or technically has 2, but this will also only have a 2 cost in her Tenacity. And we'll see later on that Balthazar also can deal with these 3 cost cards. This card should not actually discard. This card shouldn't discard itself and try to place a different card into its Tenacity. What should it do? It should try to be cheaper. What does that do for Ayla, though? Ayla has a 4 cost hand, which means if she wanted to play this for cheaper, she would need to discard at least 2 cards from her hand. And why do I say that? Because Great Oak Heart costs 3, so it costs 4 cards in total out of your hand to play it. But if you remove one of those cards, you still get rid of 3 cards, leaving you with 1 card in hand, allowing you to technically play your weapon or play a bark skin previously. But if we look at her other cards, there's no way for her to play a second card in her kit, and I don't think that's okay. Excuse me. I think what we want to do is we want to make it so this card can also be played with another 1 cost card. We don't want to make it so she has to find a 0 cost card to be able to play. Because first we're balancing towards the kit, then we're balancing outside the kit. So if the 3 cost is fine, it could even have something like a cost modification. So let's see. The modification here is discard up to 3 face-up cards from your Tenacity. Let's see. You may discard face-up. Remember, let's keep with the theme. Face-up cards from your Tenacity. To pay as if they were in your hand, while paying for this card's resource cost. Okay, let's move this down to 5 damage. Okay, you may discard face-up cards from your Tenacity as if they were in your hand while paying for this card's resource cost. While paying for this card. Do you want to explicitly say card's resource cost? I don't want to, but I feel like we have to. Because a cost can technically be something else, right? It can be any of the bold text, and this doesn't have bold text. You may discard face-up cards from your Tenacity as if they were in your hand while paying for this card. I think just keep it as is. It looks a little wordy, but the effect is so trivial. Deal 5 damage to an enemy, hard cut. It's 3 cost for 5 damage is not great, but to be able to make this potentially a 0 cost, the cost of Tenacity cards, which we've already determined from Bloodrot Bark is something we want to be doing. Oh, this is good. The problem now is she needs face-up cards in her tenacity to be able to do that. So in the next cards that she has or her hero ability, we want to make sure she gets those. Acornic Wrath. Affinity -1 cost. Fine. I don't know what the reason is for this other than to make it a 2 cost. So that's fine. That's fine. I think we want it to be a 2 cost card for everybody else, but a 1 cost for her, which is fair. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. If your tenacity total is 2 or less, this attack becomes a critical hit. So we're going to remove all instances of critical hit because we don't have the mechanic bear down yet. So what does this attack do instead? If your tenacity total is 2 or less, that means it's low. This is your payoff for keeping it super, super low. It should be quite high. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. If your tenacity total is 2 or less, this attack cannot be parried. How about that? That's pretty simple. But can we do something better that would help her? That would help what she wants to do. And she wants to discard face-up cards. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. Then, if your tenacity total is 2 or less, this attack place the top card of your deck into your tenacity. This gives her more fuel. Is this good? Deal 4 damage to an enemy. So once you play this, you won't be able to get any other wall 2 or less. That's all fine. What if it doesn't do anything about that? What if it's just 4 damage, which is meh? For 1, it's good. For 2, it's fine. It's just fine. It's just okay. But instead, what if this does something when it's discarded? Okay, so while in tenacity, where is my thing? Okay. When discarded, how about this? When discarded from your tenacity. Okay, cool. When discarded from your tenacity. How about after discarded from your tenacity? So when it's in your discard pile. Add this card to your hand. Maybe. So you could like play Acornic Wrath for so you're Ayla, right? You have 4 cards in hand. You could play Acornic Wrath, that's -2 cards because it has a cost modification of -1. You put this into your tenacity. You activate the Great Oak Acorns, you discard that card for a 0 cost because it gets, or for 1 cost to exhaust an enemy enhancement. It gets discarded from your tenacity, and then you put it back in your hand, putting you up to 3 cards again, allowing you to play potentially Great Oak Heart, or play Bloodrot Bark, or Oaken Path. I guess you'd be able to play anything, right? You could then get rid of 1 to get your weapon, or you could play Barkskin. I think this is okay. I think that's a kind of a cool effect. It's different. How about that? After discarded from your tenacity, add this card to your hand. Maybe there's a better way to do this. Maybe it can exhaust enhancement. Maybe there's a more fun thing it can do. But I think this is pretty good. Any recursion in this game seems quite powerful, I've realized. So I don't know if I want this. Maybe it should be like, I'm going to say exhaust an enemy enhancement. How about that? What about discard a defeat? I think that's the word we use, defeat. Defeat a 1 cost or less enhancement. A one cost or less enemy enhancement. Oh yeah, I feel better about that. Defeat a 1 cost or less enemy enhancement. So does that step on the toes of Great Oak Acorns? Because this says exhaust. And this says defeat. So if they only have 1, you're kind of doubling up, which sucks. But if they have 2, you're in like a really good position. Or should it just say exhaust? I think defeat a 1 cost or less is fine. I think this is cool. I think this is cool enough as is. Okay, Oaken Path. Oaken Path is a 2 cost enhancement that has a cost modification for -1 for Ayla. Cool. Exhaust as a reaction. Okay, so let's immediately update this because this can be different to be more, more in line with what we'd expect. Oh, whoopsies. Exhaust reaction. I guess we don't use this terminology right now. I think we will at some point, but we don't say the word reaction yet. After you discard one or more cards from your tenacity due to an effect, add the top card of your deck into your tenacity. That's what we want. This is a big deal for Ayla. This card basically allows her to keep going, but it also provides a volatility that you might not want, but we'll get to that with other heroes. So I think this is fine. I think it's great. It's basically like Rush from the good guys has Rage, and which is insane, which allows him to do stuff like this. And Lee has Reposition, which is a 1-cost enhancement that allows him to, like, they basically do their thing, which is great. I like that kind of cycle of angry characters having that enhancement that kind of makes them shoot up one notch. Bark Skin. Prevent 1 damage. If your tenacity total is 3 or less, prevent 3 damage instead. I'm gonna keep this as is. Okay, I'm gonna keep this as is. This is insane. But something that has changed in the design space of Grit is that defense cards were overly powerful for the majority of the game, making games go on longer and making it harder to get KOs or to get wins. So we've toned all that down, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep with stuff like this, where I think it's okay. Tenacity total 2 or less is insanely low. Is absolutely insanely low. So to have something that deals with that can overcome that problem that you're having is very good. And I think Barkskin does exactly that. It cannot parry once it's on your line. That's a big deal. But it's a 0-cost card that's fodder for Ayla. So I think this card is incredibly powerful as a defense card. Is it too powerful? Is 2 enough? 3 is a lot for 0. But it's 2 or less. No. The tenacity, if we upped the tenacity to be 3 or 4 or less, we'd be having a different conversation. But 2 or less is so incredibly low. If you've ever played, you would know that having a 2 or less tenacity would make you feel bad. And that's the point. That's the point of the bad guys. They're constantly making themselves feel a little bad all the time, and they're kind of a pity party, I guess. Not really, but you get the idea. Ish. Let's go to Frosk. So we're doing all the easy ones first. Great. Thank you, Ayla. That was great. That was not so bad at all. Infinite Fists. Okay, so this is a skill. It's a 1-cost skill. If your tenacity total is 2 or less, -1 cost. So anybody can get this. It says prepare your active hero. That's strong. That's very, very strong. Free is probably too good, but having an experienced hero allows you to have these tools that are quite powerful. One thing that I would want to lean into for Frosk's cards more is while your tenacity total is 2 or less, and while it's 3 or more, it's basically a 2-sided card. So let's see. If your tenacity total is 2 or less, -1 cost. Sure, great. And then maybe the other side of it is if your tenacity total is 3 or more, right? Then we want to do something that gets us out of that 3 or more. But we also want to do something that helps us, right? Because Frosk is kind of on both sides. He kind of understands the shifting balance between those things. He's understood those for a while. So I just had it in my head and now I can't think of it at all. If your tenacity total is 2 or less, -1 cost. If your tenacity total is 3 or more, remember, he already gets a payoff. Let's keep this in mind too. He gets +2 attack while it's low, and he gets to draw a card after he plays a card and discards a face-up card. So we can't step on the toes of that while we make it, but we can kind of enhance that because we don't want him to draw cards. That's not what we're trying to do. If your tenacity total is 3 or more. Okay, I had a thought, but I reverted that thought entirely, and we're back to where we are now. So we're not going to add any. The initial thought was, okay, if he can have cool cards that are when your tenacity is 2 or less, do a thing, and when your tenacity is 3 or more, do a thing. But I think that his ability does it so well that he doesn't need to do that. The problem is I'd love it if the other characters could do something like that too. So Prepare Your Active Hero is an incredible thing to do. It's very strong. It's good for all sorts of things. So I think the cost is justified at 2, but to still maintain the same idea, the Tenacity total 2 or less is a bigger payoff, so it feels a little bit better. I think that other characters have ways to deal with things like this. Hopefully. You know, you can always block and defend with cards like this, so this makes it a very good blocking card as well. Like, this card is insane. It's good as is. Hear me out. Having it free for its Tenacity total of 2 or less is incredible, and it should stay that way. The payoffs should be great. So let's move on, because I'm talking myself out of it. Empty Palm. So Empty Palm is a 3-cost attack. It deals 3 damage. Super terrible, right? Super bad. Well, what's up with that? Well, if your Tenacity total is 2 or less, draw 3 cards. That seems good. Affinity, you may return this card to your hand. So I wrote this thinking of like, dang, I'm slick. Like, this is a good card. Only to realize that when you put it back in your hand and you draw 3 cards, you just have an infinite. You just infinitely play this card and deal 3 damage because you play it, discard 3 to play it, deal 3 damage, put it back in your hand, draw 3 cards, and you're still going. So, whoops. Whoops. So this has to change. If your Tenacity total is 2 or less, draw 3 cards. I think that's good. I think the affinity is that you can discard this card instead, probably. That's not even true, because the point is that you want to put this into your Tenacity so you can discard it. Right? Because after you play a card, you can discard it from your Tenacity, and it's fine. So I think what I want to do here is, his hand size will be fine. It'll be pretty crazy and good and awesome. Affinity. This attack cannot be parried. Right? We want to make the other characters, the other opponents' Tenacity just as useless as ours, but we can utilize that uselessness while they can't. So Affinity, this attack cannot be parried. Wonderful. It's a 3 damage attack. They have to play a defense card. It's only 3 damage, so it's just like really annoying. It's just like really annoying. Yeah. This card's great. This card's awesome. It's fun too. It really makes you feel like if you don't like your hand, you can just cycle it, and then you can discard it from your Tenacity like right after you do it, and it's just sick. It's just so good. Mind Maze is probably too good. All cards in your Tenacity get -1 cost this turn. So for the rest of the turn, all cards in your Tenacity get -1 cost this turn, which means we want this to be for the entire turn, not just the cards that are in your Tenacity now. Cards in your Tenacity, all cards in your Tenacity get -1 cost this turn. Can I do like a reminder text that says like, maybe it should be like this: for the rest of the turn, until the end of the turn, cards in your Tenacity get -1 cost. I think this wording change will make it clearer that at all times it's a persistent effect rather than it being like the cards right now. So until the end of the turn, cards in your Tenacity get -1 cost. Draw 2 cards. This card's good. This card's really good. This card's like insanely good. However, drawing cards does make you recycle more. It's a whole thing, and I think that is okay. This card is like you're pulling from the maze. You're kind of hurting yourself to do it, but that's okay. I think that maybe this should be like until your next turn. It should be like this. How about this? No, because I don't want it to be something you can get rid of. Okay, so while in your Tenacity, cards in your Tenacity get -1 cost. Okay, let's do something cool. Let's do something kind of fun. Cards in your Tenacity get -1 cost. Okay, so here's the effect. Boom. So you play it, right? Boom. This card cannot be used to parry. Okay, so maybe we've made this card too complicated, but let's see what it looks like. Okay, just in total. This card cannot be used to parry, okay? While in your Tenacity, cards in your Tenacity get -1 cost, and then draw 2 cards. So basically we need to figure out how to place this on the card So that way it makes sense. Like to the person. Okay, this card cannot be used to parry. Okay. Draw 2 cards. Okay. Let's get rid of that. And then while in your tenacity, cards in your tenacity get -1 cost. So I'm hoping this is clear, but the idea is that you play this for 0, you put it into your tenacity, and it can't be used to parry. Like that's a text that's always relevant. And then to draw 2 cards is something you do when you play the cards. I don't think I've done that here. I don't know what that looks like though, because this card cannot be used to parry as like a persistent effect. Bold. I'm gonna put italics. How about that? That means something. It's like a reminder text. This card cannot be used to parry. Maybe this needs to be like a keyword. That could be like a cool keyword, right? So it could be like, so let's take this. This card cannot be used to parry. Maybe this card is like fragile. I like the word fragile, but I don't think it really works. Let's go here. Fragile. Like this. What about that? Fragile. This card cannot be used to parry. Draw 2 cards. While in your tenacity, cards in your tenacity get -1 cost. That's the persistent effect it has. I don't know if fragile is the right word. I think there's probably a better word that could be used there, but I like the idea of this because it allows us to use this for other cards. And I think that having a keyword like this is very powerful to have because it makes really good cards not as good. And this card will stay face up until you discard it, but that's okay because Frosk and the others can do that. Frosk can do it. Ayla can do it. And I'm sure others can do. Oh yeah, not Melody. Morgan can do it. It's easy for them to do, and that's the point. Is that this is a bad effect? It does a bad thing, and I think that's cool. So maybe a new keyword. Who knows? Abyssal Crush. Deal 1 damage. Okay. Then deal additional damage equal to your active hero's attack. You may discard this card instead of placing it in your tenacity. If you do, draw 1 card. Okay. This card is cool. I'm going to piece this up. You may discard this card instead of placing it in your tenacity. If you do, draw 1 card. Great. Good. I think it's just a good card. It deals... I think it maybe could deal more damage, right? Let's see. For Frosk, if he plays it optimally, he'll get 4 attack plus 1. That's 5 damage for 2. And it doesn't go in his tenacity. 5 damage for 2 is technically above the range. Even if he had only 2 attack, it would only be 3 damage for 2, and that wouldn't be great. But you could still discard, you could still draw a card, effectively making it cost 1. So this card looks, I think, a little bit weak when I look at it. Let's keep it as is for now. I don't know what to do about this card. It does seem weak, huh? 5 damage for 2. I think it's okay. 2. It just doesn't feel good. Like, it doesn't feel super cool as opposed to, like, other cards. You know, like, I want it to feel cool. You know, like, when I play this, I'm not like, oh, nice. Like, when I play Empty Palm, I'm doing a low amount of damage, but I feel cool because of the other stuff I'm doing. And the Empty Palm makes me feel cool for doing a little damage, but doing other things. Abyssal Crush doesn't do that. Abyssal Crush makes me feel like I'm doing 2 damage for 2. 2 damage, 5 damage for 2 resource cost. And that just feels boring. It just feels like I don't care. It feels like I just don't want to play it because I'm like, it's good damage, but like I don't feel, it doesn't do anything for me. So how do we make it cool? We'll come back to it. Maze's Embrace. Okay, here's a 1 cost event that says prevent 2 damage. We're going to immediately lower that to 1. I know that I want this to be not as good. If your tenacity total is 2 or less, your active hero gets +1 arm this turn and draw a card. Okay, we're going to remove this, and we're going to just get this. Your active hero gets +1 arm this turn. This card's nuts. This card's insane. This card's great. This card's cool. And we're going to keep it as is, okay? Just remove the draw effect. I don't want that on, like, any defense cards anymore. And prevent damage is 1 on paper, or 1 on card, 1 for parry, and then if you have tenacity total of 2 or less, you get +1 arm this turn, which gives you basically a third per damage prevention, which is not just for this attack, but for the next attack as well. So yeah, super, super good. So the only one I'm not super sure about is this Abyssal Crush. It's boring. It's just so boring, and I just don't care about it. If I just said, like, deal... What if we just remove this, okay? Deal damage equal to your... Oh, here we go. Equal to your active hero's attack, okay? Then you may discard this card instead of placing it in your tenacity. If you do, prepare your active hero. Equal. Deal damage equal to your attack. You may discard this card. What if I go like this? Discard this card. Can I make this prettier and still make sense? What about that? Does that work? Discard this card, prepare your active hero. Deal damage equal to your active hero's attack. Discard this card, prepare your active hero. Now that seems good. Now that seems cool. Okay, I'm going to swing at you for 4 because my tenacity total is 2 or less. I'm going to play Abyssal Crush, which allows me to spend, deal 4 damage because that's my attack, this is fine. And then I'm going to discard it instead of putting it on my tenacity to maintain my tenacity at 2 or less. And then I'm going to swing in for 4 again. That's cool. That's sick. That's sick. I like that a lot more. That seems fun. It seems fun. It does less damage, but it seems funner. I mean, the prepare is pretty nuts. Is that too good? Probably. No, I guess it depends, right? This takes, and it doesn't give you a defense card. It's hard for me to wrap my head around that, but I'm droning on. Okay. I think we're gonna stop there. That's the first 3 done, and I think those are the 3 that had the least amount of changes, and now these other ones are gonna have the most amount of changes. So we'll see where that goes, but I'm very happy with what we've done here, specifically with these 2. The others, I think Besh was pretty much fine, but these 2 we did, I think, a really good job on to harness like the point of them, and then also enhance them to make it so that they actually fit everything a little bit better. So awesome! I really like Mind Maze. This card seems cool on paper. So you'll need to find a way to get rid of it, or you keep it in your tenacity and you can't defend one, but also you're feeling like, you're feeling good. You're feeling good with this in your tenacity. That's so cool. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. I had a great time. I know I talk a lot and the sun has gone down. But thank you so much for watching. Wherever you are in the world, have a great day, night, morning, weekend, breakfast, lunch, dinner, vacation, work day, whatever it is, wherever you are. And I hope to see you in whatever the next video is. So, see ya.